My name is Andrew. I'm 45 years old. And I want to tell you a story about how everything you believed in for 17 years can crumble in a single evening. You know, there are moments in life when you wake up in the morning and don't understand who you are anymore. Same person, same apartment, same kids. But inside, there's emptiness. Like someone cut out a piece of your soul and now there's just a hole, a draft. It all started a year ago. Well, I found out a year ago. But when it actually started, God knows. I remember it was July last year. My wife Emily and I were invited to my buddy Steve's anniversary party. 20 years of marriage with his wife Jennifer. Restaurant, guests, toasts, the whole 9 yards. Back then I felt, well, not happy, if I'm being honest, but stable. Emily and I had been living like roommates for the past couple of years. No fights, but none of that closeness we used to have either. Kids, work, daily grind. It all sucks you in. So there we were at the table, about 15 guests, champagne flowing. Steve stands up with his glass, starts thanking everyone, and suddenly Jennifer interrupts him. "Steve, wait. I need to say something." Everyone went quiet. She stands up and says, "I can't lie anymore. I've been having an affair for 2 years. I'm sorry." The silence was so thick, you could hear the ice cracking in the glasses. Steve went pale, sat back down. Guests were in shock. And me? I leaned over to Emily and whispered, "What a circus. To do this at your own wedding anniversary." I even smirked. Can you imagine? I was being ironic about it. Emily looked at me strangely then. Now I understand why. 2 weeks after that anniversary, I came home from work early. Nobody was home. Emily had taken the kids to her mom's for the weekend. I decided to sort through some old stuff in the garage. Found her old phone, the one she'd replaced 6 months earlier. It still had some charge. I'm not a spy, not paranoid. I just happened to turn it on, scroll through, and I saw the messages. The texts were deleted, but everything was still in the cloud backup. 2 years. 2 freaking years. She'd been texting some guy named Marcus. Hotel meetings when I was on business trips. Her Thursday girls' nights. I was reading and couldn't believe it. She's writing to him, "Miss you? Want you so bad." And literally the same day, she texts me, "Pick up milk on your way home." When she came back with the kids, I was calm. Ice cold calm. I put the phone on the table and said, "We need to talk." She tried to deny it at first, then started crying. Said it didn't mean anything. That she loved me, that family was more important. That he was just a mistake. I asked only one thing. Why? She answered, "Because with you, I stopped feeling like a woman. You look at me like I'm the mother of your children, but not like me." And you know what's the scariest part? She was right. We got divorced 4 months later. No drama, no fighting over assets. The kids, 2 sons, 19 and 16, and our 12-year-old daughter, stayed with her. I rented an apartment nearby so I could see them whenever. From the outside, we looked like Model ex-spouses. Talked politely, discussed the kids, even went to parent-teacher conferences together. But inside, I was empty. I'd work, come home, sit in silence. My buddy Dennis, a colleague from work, stopped by one day and said, "Andrew, you're turning into a ghost. Look at yourself. You're not living. You're 45, not 80. You need to get out there." So I decided to try. Start a new life. Find a relationship. First was Sarah. 42, 2 grown kids, a son 24, and a daughter 21. We met through a colleague. She worked in the building next door, an accountant. Interesting woman, well-read. We went to the movies, then dinner. Talked about everything. Work, life, kids. But the problem was, she kept comparing. Always talked about her ex-husband. How he betrayed her, how she suffered, how she couldn't trust men now. I understood her. I'd been through it myself. But on the third date, when she started again with, "My ex used to be so attentive at first, too," I realized we weren't ready. We were just two wounded people trying to heal each other's wounds. And it doesn't work that way. After 2 months of trying, I called her and said, "Sarah, let's stay friends. We're both carrying too much baggage." She cried on the phone but agreed. We call sometimes, but stopped meeting up. A month later, there was Jennifer. 38, little boy, 5 years old, divorced, 3 years. We met at a playground. I was visiting my daughter, and she was there with her son. Started talking. She was bright, cheerful, full of energy. We started hanging out with the kids together. My Katie became friends with her Tommy. It was nice. Felt like family. But the problem came from where I didn't expect. After a month, she said, "Andrew, I like being with you, but I need a man who'll be a real father to Tommy. Not just a visiting friend, but a real dad. Are you ready for that?" I thought about it. 5 years old means so much ahead. Daycare, school, illnesses, tantrums. I'd been through it 3 times with my own kids. Was I ready to do it again? And I answered honestly, "No, I'm sorry, but no." She got offended. Said I was selfish, only thinking about myself. Maybe she's right, but I didn't want to deceive her or the child. We didn't see each other again. Sometimes I see her posts on social media. She's with a new guy now. Happy for her. Then there was Anna, 40 years old, no kids, never been married. We met at a bookstore. Both reached for the same book on the shelf, a collection of Hemingway short stories. Smiled at each other, started talking. She was different, free, traveled, into photography, worked as a designer. Her apartment was full of books, paintings, unusual things from different countries. We dated for 2 months, went to galleries, theater, took weekend trips to Portland. But I could see she lived in a different world. A world without parent-teacher conferences, where you don't have to think about math tutor costs, where you can buy a ticket and fly to Barcelona for a week on a whim. And I'm a man with obligations. I have 3 kids who need me. A job, a mortgage on the kids' apartment, a sick mother. One evening, sitting in her kitchen, she said, "Andrew, you're always somewhere else in your thoughts, calling your kids, worrying about them. I don't want to be with a man for whom I'm a secondary part of life." I couldn't argue, because she was right. We parted on good terms. She texted me a month later that she'd met someone ready to share her lifestyle. I was glad. 6 months have passed since I tried to build new relationships. And you know what I realized? I'm not ready. Not because I still love Emily. No, I forgave her long ago. Understood that we were both to blame for our marriage turning into a formality. But I'm not happy. And that's the main problem. I can't give happiness to another person when I haven't found it in myself. Recently, I talked to my oldest son, Max. He's 19 in college. He asked me, "Dad, will you ever get married again?" I thought about it and answered, "I don't know, Max. Maybe. Maybe not. You know, happiness isn't necessarily family and a wedding. Sometimes happiness is just being at peace with yourself." He nodded. "I get it. Main thing, Dad, is that you're okay. We still see you. Everything's fine. And you don't badmouth Mom. That's important." Smart kid. Remember that anniversary where I was being ironic about Jennifer's affair? Well, a year later, I ran into Steve. We were sitting in a bar, drinking whiskey. He told me that he and Jennifer went through therapy, working on their relationship. Hard, but they're trying. Then he asked, "How about you? Heard you and Emily got divorced." I told him everything, and he said something that stuck in my head. "Andrew, the irony of life is that we all judge others until we're in their shoes. Remember how you laughed at our situation? 2 weeks later, you found out about Emily." He was right. I felt above that situation then. And then I ended up in it myself. A month ago, Emily and I met up, not about the kids, just to talk. She suggested coffee. We sat in the cafe where 17 years ago I'd proposed to her. She said, "Andrew, I want to apologize. Really apologize. Not like back then when it all just happened. I thought cheating was just physical. But now I understand I stole 2 years of truth from you. 2 years when you thought we were together, and I was living a double life." I looked at her. She'd aged. Crow's feet, gray hairs, but still beautiful. And I said, "Emily, I forgive you. Forgave you long ago. More than that, I'm grateful." She was surprised. "For what?" "For showing me that I'd stopped being a husband. I was a father, a provider, but not a husband, not a partner. I buried myself in routine and forgot that we had a relationship that needed nurturing." She cried. We sat in silence for a long time. Now I'm 45 years old. I live alone, see the kids 3-4 times a week. Emily and I are on good, friendly terms. Am I happy? No. But I'm on the path to it. I started working out. Signed up for Italian classes, always wanted to. Reading books I'd put off for years. And most importantly, I'm learning to be alone with myself. Not run to work, not try to fill the void with new relationships. Yesterday, my friend Dennis asked me at work, "Andrew, when are you finally going to find someone? Want me to set you up?" I smiled and answered, "Dennis, I need to find myself first, then someone else." He twirled his finger at his temple. "Philosopher now, huh?" But I'm serious. For 17 years, I was someone's husband, someone's father. Now I'm learning to just be Andrew. My youngest daughter, Katie, recently asked me, "Dad, are you sad because we don't live together?" I hugged her and said, "No, sweetie. I get sad sometimes, but not because of that. Adults have a right to be sad too. It's normal." She thought about it. "Will you be happy?" "I will be. Just need time." The hardest part was explaining to the parents. My mom cried when she found out about the divorce. Said, "You guys were doing so well, kids, home, everything." I told her, "Mom, everything looks good from the outside, but inside there can be emptiness." Her mom took it hard too. Called me, cried, apologized for her daughter. But over time, everyone accepted it. The parents see the kids are fine, that Emily and I aren't at war. And that's what matters. Once I accidentally ran into Emily's friend, Marina. She'd always been a straightforward woman. She said, "Andrew, I knew about Emily and Marcus. She told me. And you know what's the scariest thing? She was unhappy with him too. She was just trying to feel alive." I asked, "Why didn't you tell me?" Marina sighed. "Because it wasn't my secret to tell. And because I knew you'd find out anyway. The truth always surfaces." She was right. You know what I learned this year? Cheating isn't always about sex or loving someone else. Sometimes it's a cry for help, an attempt to feel alive when next to your partner you're dying. I'm not justifying Emily, but I understand her, and I understand myself. The person who stopped seeing the woman in her turned her into a function. What's next? I don't know. Maybe I'll meet a woman I can build something new with. Maybe I'll stay alone. But the main thing is, I'm no longer afraid of loneliness. I'm learning to be at peace with myself. And that's already a lot. If you ask me whether all this suffering was worth it, I'll say yes. Because pain taught me to feel, betrayal taught me to trust, and loneliness taught me to value closeness. 17 years of marriage weren't for nothing. I have 3 wonderful children. I have experience that made me stronger, and I have a whole life ahead of me. My name is Andrew. I'm 45 years old, and I'm still searching for happiness.